you fear, Mr. Kuleba, that we are witnessing an escalation right now?
The opening act was on the 24th of February, when many missiles hit Kiev and other Ukrainian cities. And since then, Russia is always threatening us with the new level of escalation or with the new opening act. No, for us, it's nothing new. It's the continuation of the barbarian Russian aggression. But I want to assure you that whatever they do, they will not break us down.
Right. The French president, when he was asked to comment about what happened today, he said this amounts, and I quote him, to a deep change in the nature of the war. Does that mean, because I know you have had some interactions today with your Western counterparts, that the West could now be more open to provide Ukraine with the weapons that it is demanding, or maybe take some diplomatic steps that were not being considered until now?
Well, I think that the only difference between then and now is that we can admit one thing. When Russia loses on the battlefield in a fight between soldiers and armies, it decides to terrorize civilian population and create conditions unbearable for human life. Vast majority of missiles today were targeting energy infrastructure in Ukraine with only one purpose: to deprive Ukrainians of electricity and heating in the middle of autumn and upcoming winter. So this was an attack on civilian population of Ukraine in retaliation for the success of the Ukrainian army on the battleground. This is the change. And we think that the best response to this change is to make our army stronger by providing new weapons, and make our civilians more protected by providing Ukraine with air missiles, anti-missiles, and air defense systems. I don't know what else has to happen for our partners to make all decisions related to resolving this problem.
So you think that now we're a step closer to this?
I think so. I would expect governments to react appropriately to this barbaric act of terrorism by Russian army, as it was directed only against civilians and civilian infrastructure. And I had a number of foreign calls, and my president spoke with a number of leaders, including President Macron, and this was definitely the topic of all our conversations.
Right. Is Ukraine now entitled to strike inside Russia after what happened today?
Ukraine fights in its own territory, exercising its right to self-defense, and we are entitled to defending our country and to liberating it from foreign aggressor. And we will continue to do so until we prevail.
Right. The president of Belarus today said his country and Russia will deploy a joint military task force. Do you think this is the beginning of what could be a full-fledged attack by Ukraine from Belarus territory?
It's a very worrying development, and I think not only for Ukraine, but also for those EU countries, Lithuania, Latvia, Poland, who border Belarus, because no one can predict what this joint army of Belarus and Russia will do in its territory and how they will behave. So it's a deterioration, a serious deterioration of security situation, not only vis-a-vis Ukraine, but also vis-a-vis the European Union.
Right. What is your response to those who say, well, Ukraine should have been more careful and not humiliate Vladimir Putin by bombing the Kerch bridge between Russia and Crimea, especially on his birthday?
Well, these people should go to a victim of a rape and tell her that her skirt was too short and it was the birthday of the raper that led to the rape.
There is this week, there are several meetings of the United Nations, the Security Council. There is also a UN General Assembly vote on a resolution that would condemn Russia's annexation of 4 areas inside Ukraine. When there was a General Assembly vote at the onset of the war, many countries, especially from the south, abstained. You were in Africa. After what happened today and what you say has been happening for the past few months, are you hoping to make some inroads and get those countries who remain neutral to side with Ukraine now?
Well, the purpose of my African tour, and I happened to be the first foreign minister of Ukraine in 30 years of independence who has undertaken an African tour, is much broader. It's about, if I may put it this way, a renaissance of Ukrainian-African relations on all issues of mutual interest: education, trade, security cooperation. But of course, we also spoke about the support of Africa and the Global South more broadly in the United Nations General Assembly. So now let's see and wait whether the time for changes in positions of a number, not all, but number of African countries has come.